Hey folks, Nev here with One Deal Away. And if you think that I'm out in a beautiful park, I am not. I'm actually inside my own house. And the reason that you see what you see behind me is because I was inspired by my friend, interior designer Sandy. Sandy is an amazing individual, and I was curious of how can I make my house, my home, feel more like home, feel more enjoyable for me to live and work out of. Look, today we're all stuck in our home, and it's important, even more than ever before, to have that home speak to you and make you happy. Personally, trees and nature make me incredibly happy, but because we're all locked up, I can't go and enjoy it. I feel like I am camping every single day now that I'm at my home, and this idea behind me was inspired by Sandy. If you want to be inspired by Sandy as well, join me for this episode. My name is Nev Kragulevich of One Deal Away, and welcome to another episode of The Nev Show. Today is my absolute privilege to introduce you to a very dear friend, a colleague who specializes in basically helping you love your home. And nowadays, with everybody having to work from home, having to figure out where in the world to work, Cindy's doing something that I found absolutely amazing, and she's offering a 15-minute free consultation to help you figure out your home office. So I'm going to be asking her a whole bunch of questions that are going to help me set up my office a bit better. But before we get started, I am going to introduce you to Sandy. So Sandy, welcome to the show.
Hi, Nev. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited that you are here. So some audience might absolutely know who you are, some might not. So do you care to spend like a few minutes, just introduce yourself of like who you are, what you do, and why you are wanting to go out and help all these people?
Sure. Thank you. So I'm Sandy with Restyle Interiors, and I have been creating beautiful spaces for people, folks around Orange County, and actually virtually now for over 16 years. So I really enjoy um, listening to my clients, finding out what they need, and making it happen for them. And like you said, Nev, bringing their design dreams to life and making them have a space that they absolutely love to come home to. And now more than ever, we are all looking at our spaces more. We are in there almost 24/7, and it's become so important to really take some time to make that space a place that give it needs to be a sanctuary, right? More than anything.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what my focus has been on.
Awesome, awesome, fabulous. So it sounds like, prior to COVID-19, where all of us are kind of being locked up, most of your work was more person to person, right?
That's
Individualized
correct.
work.
Correct. Yes.
And now it looks like you too have switched to online virtual ways of helping people.
Yes, I have.
So how
As
does
we
that
all
work?
know. How does it work? Well, I happen to use Zoom, same technology that we are using right now. I also have kind of a very quick questionnaire that I send to my clients so that before we actually get on a call together, I know a little bit about their space. I need to know, a couple of photos, maybe some measurements, but mainly what can I help them with? What is it that they need help with? So in the 15-minute, which you alluded to, the 15-minute chat with Sandy, which is complimentary to everyone, I know that right now more than ever, people just may have questions that they have no answers to, and if there's something in their space that isn't working, or they need to get a home office set up ASAP, or they already have one, but it's, they want it to be better. So that's why the 15-minute complimentary chat, so that I can maybe answer some quick questions and, make your day, make your day a
Yeah.
little easier.
That's really important. So, folks obviously will have an opportunity to connect with you. I'm going to put the link to connect with Sandy down in the show notes. We're going to blast it over here because, this is really important. So I'm going to share a few different scenarios and just kind of ask questions of Sandy so that she can provide with some answers. Some of them are going to be very personal. So I'm going to get started with my own thing. You get to know a whole lot more about me than I would ever care that you knew. But hey, it's the new normal. So
Sounds
Sandy,
great.
I happen to have recently, about 6 months ago, I have moved into a one-bedroom apartment. So I used to have a three-bedroom plus like a double parlor plus a den plus a giant walk-in kitchen plus plus plus. And I realized that all of those pluses were, well, I didn't use them. I didn't need them. So when I had an apartment open up that was much smaller, I mean, we're talking, I think the entire thing might be around 600 square feet, if that. So it's on the smaller end of things, but it works really well for me. I love tiny homes. I love small living. I get to enjoy all of my home, whereas I didn't before. And so right now, because I have one bedroom, right, and then there's like a living room kitchen concept, I am setting up my desk in my bedroom.
Okay.
In case we have folks who are just like me, they have maybe one bedroom or maybe even it's a studio, small space. How do you recommend folks set up their workstations so that there's this nice compartmentalization of life?
Absolutely. Good question. It comes up all the time, especially right now. If you didn't already have a dedicated office space, what are you supposed to do when you know you have to work from home? So it sounds like you told me that you have a master bedroom that you have set up your office in.
Yes.
The key ingredient here is no matter what space, what room in your home you have to set your office in, you want it to be a designated separate area. And it doesn't mean it has to have a door. It just means it needs a visual barrier. So you can use a partition, you can use a screen, you can use a bookcase that happens to be a taller bookcase. It can be, a curtain. Some people have huge closets, very large closets. You can even partition off part of your closet space to use as an office. And we'll get into the lighting and everything later, I'm sure. But yeah, so if you have a small space, if you need to do multitasking if your space needs to handle multiple tasks, the key is designate an area and then visually, it doesn't have to be an actual wall, but visually separate yourself from the rest of your space.
Okay. So, right, I mean, the easy solution is if you have a spare bedroom that you just turn into office, right? One and done. That's cool. So I want to throw some curveballs your way, right?
Okay.
That's why I was asking this specific question. So I love the fact of that visual separation so that kind of you have a office to walk into and walk out of to kind of give yourself, it sounds like maybe mental, physical, emotional break. Is that the reason for it?
Yes, all three of those. You definitely want to be able to focus on work, and you can't focus on work if you're worried about you're looking at other things that have nothing to do with what you're supposed to be, what your workspace is set up to do. So, for example, if you are in a living room and you have a space in your living room, you don't want to be staring at the TV, or you don't want to be, looking at things that are going to distract you from your task at hand. So, in other words, keep your space decluttered and keep it clean and organized so that when you are in your workspace, which can be anywhere in your home, you know that that is your workspace and that's designated workspace. Not where you're gonna watch TV, not where you're going to sleep. And a lot of people, they think, well, gosh, can't I put my laptop on my lap and sit in bed and and do my work? But sitting in bed and trying to focus on work, that's like two totally dis you're definitely confusing your mind. Your mind is going to want to rest. If you're in bed, you're not going to be able to focus. So yes, you want as few distractions as possible.
So you said some really cool things that I want to pick up on and break down a bit more, if that's all right. So one of the things, let's go to bed. I know I have noticed and I have heard and I've seen photos on social as well of people plopping their laptop into their laps and being propped up in the bed. And you are saying no, don't work out of bed.
That's what I'm saying. And it's not just me. Many of the expert designers and colleagues of mine, it's a psychological thing. You want to be in a place that is not, your bed area is where you rest. It's where you want your mind to come at ease. You want to relax. So if you're trying to focus and work and have high energy and be psychologically on your game and you're in bed, you've got two different messages going through your head at the same time. It can be a distraction. If it at all possible, it's not that you can't be in your bedroom, but you just need to designate a space that's not sitting on your bed. Even if you just have a window, everybody's got a window in their room. If you can set up a very small, and it doesn't even have to be an actual desk, Nev. Some people just have a console table, or they have a tray table, because we all use laptops now. We don't need these huge, desk areas. You can have, like the TV tray type thing, or a console table is usually that little slender table that sits behind a sofa, but it doesn't have to. You can move it into your bedroom and put it next to a window so that you've got something else to focus on when you're working. And having access to natural light is so valuable, if at all possible. If you can set up your office in any place in your home where you have access to natural light, you are ahead of the game. It's psychologically relaxing, but at the same time, it allows you to focus.
Awesome. So, listening to you talk, it's almost like, part of trying to work from bed, which I understand it's a no-no. So there we go. We're learning something new. But it also almost sounds like not only am I confusing my mind and, having hard time to focus, potentially, is it possible that perhaps I'm training my mind to go into overdrive when I'm in my bed. So when it comes time to shut that laptop and go to bed, my brain is still thinking it's work time, right? And so it start processing. So my ability to then rest and sleep perhaps might not be as good on the other end of things.
Yes, you said it so much better than I did, Nev. That's
I don't know about that.
in a nutshell.
I'm just processing out loud what I'm hearing you say.
That's exactly why. Yes, because your mind can't shift gears that fast. And yes, the bed, in that area is for rest, is for relaxation, is for rejuvenation.
All right.
And
so bed,
the workspace is everything on the opposite side of that.
Got it. All right. So bed has its purpose, and it's for sleep and relaxation and sort of being a human being as a whole. Work is for work, for focus, for working on stuff. Now, you said a second thing also. Well, you mentioned a lot of things, but I'm going to try to break it down spot by spot. So that is off the limits. We got that far. Check. Second thing you have also mentioned is something about organization and kind of creating a visual sort of distancing if you don't have a separate room, right? And you mentioned
Correct.
closet, which we can kind of play around and talk about that. But right, if a closet is kind of on the small end, I have to work out of living room, kitchen, bedroom, whatever. People have to get a little bit creative. You talked about putting bookshelves, curtains, you know, uh, kind of creating that visual space that it feels like a new spot that you're walking in, which I really love that idea and appreciate it. But you also talked a little bit about organization. So can we touch on that piece? You said, you want to have things organized nicely. Why
Yes.
is that? And kind of how do we think through all of that stuff?
Okay. The reason why organization is so key, and keeping your cat in a separate room when you're videoing. But the reason why organization is so key is because if you're sitting down to your workspace and the first thing that you realize is that you don't know where your stuff is, you don't know where to grab, where your go-to things are, then you're going to get distracted and you're going to start, playing around with papers and going through stacks of folders, rather than, okay, I'm going to sit down here. I know what my tasks are for the day, and they're right here, right in front of me. But at the same time, it's nice to have different types of storage. Some people want all their storage closed, meaning they like boxes because they can put a label on that box and they know if I go in here, I'm going to find X, Y, and Z. Some people just want file folders, and there's a lot of great, you don't even have to have a file cabinet anymore, because if you look, you can find file, like Pendaflex files that just, they're movable. So you have your files in a file box, and then you can, if it's not really a desk and area, an actual desk area, and you don't have a drawer you can pull out where all your files are, put them in one of those boxes, have everything labeled. It just makes it easier for you, because being organized means you can sit down and you can get going on the task at hand, and you don't have to worry about, okay, where did I put that, where's this, because again, it's another distraction to us, and we end up spending more time looking for what we need instead of just getting to work and doing what we want to do. Plus, I have to say, a decluttered area really helps us to relax. If you don't have clutter, you will realize that you can relax. You can take that deep breath. Definitely a psychological thing. Some people think, oh, I don't care, I can deal with the clutter. But once they get rid of it, Nev, everybody kind of takes a moment and goes, wow, I can't believe how much more relaxed I can be now.
Awesome. I love that. So, growing up, I remember my mom when it came time to do homework, and we were doing homework out of the dining room, which we can get into for the office as an example. But that's what it was, because she was in the kitchen, and so she was cooking, but she could also keep an eye on us to make sure that we were doing things. And my sister didn't need a whole lot of watching, but I did. So my job was I would sit over there, and I remember she said the exact same thing. You need to bring everything that you need, because there was no like, oh, well, now I need an eraser. Oh, well, then I need a pencil sharpener. Oh, and it was, you got to bring everything in, set it up, and then let's begin. And, there was no getting up and doing stuff. And so when I listened to you kind of talk about it, it sounds like some of the things that she was trying to teach me even as a kid are things that we should be applying in our daily lives, even today as adults.
You're absolutely right. And that was another great example. The less you have to stop what you're doing because you don't have something you need, the less of that, the faster you get your tasks done. You can probably be sharper. Your mind doesn't wander. You're focused. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing.
All right, awesome. So we've talked about kind of the bedroom. Now, sometimes I know that some of the folks, I tend to be living by myself. It's just me and the cat, and he's slowly but surely getting adjusted that I'm home all the time now. It was weird for him for a little while, but now he feels comfortable with that. So that's good. Bonus, which means I'm actually left alone a bit more than I used to be. But there are people that have perhaps it's partners, and maybe they also live in one bedroom, or perhaps it's a family. And so they might have multiple bedrooms. But if we're thinking, right, like one spouse has a Zoom call, another spouse has an email and a Zoom call, the kids are all online taking classes or need to practice. So now people are kind of trying to spread out, and maybe you run out of bedrooms. I've heard of people trying to climb into closets. You actually talked about that briefly, going into bathrooms, locking themselves in, working out of kitchens, living rooms, dining rooms. People are getting very creative. So, what are your thoughts on kind of those additional spaces that maybe if we don't have bedrooms that we're running out of? What are suggestions do you have for that?
So you're talking about having multiple people, having to do everybody's got their own tasks at hand, and they need to have that audio separation, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to hear the kids in the background when you're on a Zoom call with somebody. So I would say think about the other areas of a lot of people have garages, but I don't really hear about people trying to incorporate a space in their garage. But that, if you have a garage, I mean, it depends, I think, on where you live in the country as far as the garage spaces. Like out here, our garages are, gosh, easily converted, if you will. You've heard of the backyard shed and
Yes.
making that into an office. You can do, yes, you can do the same idea like the backyard shed. It could be a space in the garage. But if you are looking for you need a space, you need to compartmentalize for sound purposes. I know you can put headphones on.
Yeah.
Not the kids, but if you are trying to focus and you're in a noisy environment, you can use headphones. They work great. But I guess more to your point, think outside of the box. You don't all have to be in the house at the same time. If you have, or you might have a backyard shed. I don't want to cancel that out. Some people do have a backyard shed that can be converted without too much work. As long as you have electrical, I guess that would be the big the one demand that you probably need. But garages, backyard sheds. The only reason I don't recommend a bathroom situation is because of the acoustics in your bathroom. But some people have pretty large bathrooms too. I mean, really big. So if you do have a large bathroom and there's an area rug on the floor, and you can maybe put a curtain or some other kind of a noise dampening, textiles in general, any kind of fabric tends to get rid of echo and that feeling of being in a space that you don't want to be in the shower talking to.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question fully.
It sounds like basically like try to get creative, right?
Yes.
Consider a garage, which also could be maybe a bit ringy. So maybe putting some soft furniture, right, like carpets and that
Well,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
you definitely want to bring in an area rug wherever you're at. That's the other thing. You don't want to feel uncomfortable. It
Mm.
needs, I mean, first of all, you need a comfortable chair to sit in. You need an ergonomic, unless you prefer standing. A lot of people feel that they work better when they're standing. And there are things called sit-stand desks that are out there where they actually rise up and they can lower into a desk. So if you're sitting, you want to be comfortable. And I don't mean comfortable like you want to fall asleep. I mean ergonomically, you want to feel comfortable. So if you are working out of your garage, you definitely, number one, you don't want it to be too cold. You know, you may need to bring in the space heater. Definitely have something on the floor underneath you, a little area rug. Have a comfortable chair, not just the wooden dining chair or some folding chair. Just, I mean, make it something that you feel comfortable in. As much as you can, get your surroundings to be um, stimulating so that you can concentrate on work and not say to yourself, oh my God, it's cold in here, or oh my gosh, my back is killing me in this chair. Those are the things you don't want to do when you're working from home.
Okay. So get a little bit creative, right? So basement, attic, shed, garage, spare room, bathroom, closets. So really, it sounds like put your little creative gear on, and start thinking. Of course, if you get stuck, you can always give Sandy a call, and then she can probably guide you and kind of ask questions of what you have. So we talked a little bit about kind of being comfortable, and you mentioned a little bit about lighting and the importance of it. You talked about the importance of having like a natural light come our way. But if closets, right, say that I don't have a basement, I don't have the attic, perhaps it's just a crawl space. Maybe there's a garage, but it's not insulated, and I live in New England, and it's maybe too cold, so even the
Right.
space heater is just not going to work. So
Right.
I go into my closet.
Yeah.
How do I fix the lighting there? Because most closets, some do, but most don't have a natural source of light.
Absolutely. And if you are going to work out of the closet, there are ways to. Well, first of all, if you can remove the doors, different closets have different kind of doors. Some of them slide, some of them open. If it's just an actual door, obviously keep it open, or a double door, keep them both open. If you have bypass sliding doors, if you can remove those doors, number one, that just lets natural light into the closet. But you're going to want to bring in a good desk lamp, you want task lighting. And the best lighting for office spaces is an LED light, a lamp that shines the light down on your work surface, not one of those lights that shines up, to the ceiling. So you're going to want LED lighting. If you can bring it in from two different space, one on the left, one on the right, because the other thing is, if you only have light coming, if you're in a closet and it's semi-dark in there, and even if it's not a closet, a reach-in closet's really only 24 inches deep, and then it's really long. So let's just say you're in that type of a closet. You're not really you're not inside of a closet so much as you're just in a alcove. You're in an alcove and there's a lot of shadows in there. So having good lighting on both sides of you, it's going to, your entire work surface will be well lit. And LED lights tend to be a warmer light. You don't want that old fluorescent feeling. I don't know if you've ever heard about the psychology of blue light, but blue light just really, it does a lot of, and energy wise, it kind of is an energy vampire. The blue light tends to really, it's hard on your eyes, even though you don't know it, but it is hard on your eyes, and it will actually make you more tired over time. So good LED lights, have one on each side of you if you're in that closet area and you've set up, like a little ledge. And I'm sure you're gonna, you can bring a power strip in there, for electricity. A lot of closets do have a power, an outlet, but if there is no outlet, just get yourself an extension cord and a power strip. That's all you need. Plug in your lighting on either side of you. and then you're working in the center, because at that point you're typically not, you're looking at a solid wall as opposed to having any kind of windows, near you. But and the other thing is, if you are looking at a solid wall, put something there. Put something that is pleasant and it brings you joy. Meaning, maybe just a simple piece of artwork off of your wall. I mean, set it in front of you instead of, something that maybe it's a good example of this is if you happen to have a piece of artwork in your house that is a landscape. It's trees, it's a sky, it's something in nature, and you're looking at that instead of the back of a closet wall. That would be so much more stimulating. And again, if you're staring at a blank wall for any period of time, you're going to want to get up, right? You're not going to want to sit there and work. So if you can make that, I mean, there's also removable wallpaper. It's literally like peel and stick. That's how easy it is. It won't ruin, it won't do, if you're renting, it's not going to damage your wall. You can find a pattern like that of wallpaper that you would love to look at and put that on that back wall, and it brightens your space automatically.
I love that. I mean, that's such a good idea. I tend to be also big on like, right, like the colors, the shapes, the textures. So like I have my chair is actually down here, and I have this. This is my winter decor, and it's just basically like a sheepskin. I think it's a rug. You should probably put it down on the floor, uh, but it's just so soft and so nice, and I keep it as a back of my chair, and it keeps me a bit warmer in cool winter days. In summer, I remove it. I can't handle it. But in winter, like I absolutely love having it. So would that be also a good solution for some of these makeshifts?
It's a fantastic solution, Nev, and yes, again, it goes to the point of you want to be comfortable and you want to feel stimulated in your environment, and that is especially if it's cold, and it's and it gives you that feeling of, it's a tactile thing. You're not on this hard surface, you don't feel like you're in prison or, "Ugh, I have to sit here." You actually want to. It feels comfortable.
Nice. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, you've answered a lot of stuff, and I think a lot of people got like a super cool, awesome thoughts and ideas. But want to talk about a couple more things before we wrap it up, because I know we're slowly but surely running out of time. So one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about is my brain just stopped working. This is fabulous. Hold on. There was something. There was something. Oh, yes. Here we go. Thank you, brain, for coming back. So taking breaks. Now, I know you're not a health expert. You're more on the sort of, right, like working on stuff. I mean, I have my own personal thoughts and beliefs. But, what I'm finding is that the whole, you're in bed, you go over, you maybe make some coffee, maybe you shower, maybe you don't before you go to work. Because, before you had to, now you're like, whatever, I'll just take a shower at lunchtime. Who cares? You go in, potentially start working earlier. People are reporting that they're working later, maybe not taking as many breaks because, when you were in the office, in order for me to come see you, I would actually have to walk down the hallway or whatnot. Now we just press a button and person pops up and that's that. So what are your thoughts on the whole like breaks and kind of movement and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. It's so important. We cannot sit there for 6 hours. I mean, that sitting is as bad as smoking, they say, prolonged sitting. So, I mean, you're right. I'm not a health professional, but as someone who does work from home, I can tell you that I will get up every couple of hours. I will either go out and take a walk, breathe the fresh air, get out, and literally walk around the area. Or I will at least get up and go into another room, do something for 15, 20 minutes. Even your brain is going to need a little break. Number one, you don't want to be sitting for a long period of time. It's just not good for your body. But number two, you need to give yourself a mental break. And I love coffee. I don't know if you're a coffee drinker, but I start my day with it, and sometimes depending on the day, I may have a little bit more later on in the day. So that gives me another reason to take a break. And then of course you need to have a lunch time whenever that happens to be. Some people don't eat lunch at the traditional lunch time, but regardless, make sure you're not sitting for more than 2 to 2.5 hours at a time if you can help it. Even if you're just standing up instead of sitting, maybe you are working on something really important. Even if you just stand up and still, work, it's definitely stimulates your body and your mind, because yeah, too much sitting is definitely bad for us.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you. What I have done is, obviously I'll do the little bit of standing, little bit of sitting. But what I also have done is some of the Zoom or Skype calls, depending on what you're using, sometimes they are face to face, just like what we're doing right now. And so for that, it kind of feels weird. I have to be somewhere with Wi-Fi. I have to be present for it. That doesn't mean I have to sit. I actually can stand. I'm standing right now when we're
Yeah.
chatting. So I'm working, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm standing at this moment. Another interview that I might do, I might actually sit down to do it. What I have done is some of the calls are actually phone calls, where, right, like, I mean, just like old fashioned phone call. I don't know if anybody remembers those anymore, but I do them still. And, like I'll put in headphones, I'll put the phone in my pocket, put on the jacket, and I'll do my one-on-one with my staff, and I'll go for a walk. So I'll end up I'm still able to work and get stuff done, but I'm not sitting. I'm actually going out and, going for a walk. And so that's something that I have been doing that I actually end up really enjoying quite a bit, because, I get to move a little bit. I'm still doing what I need to do, but it doesn't necessarily have to be sort of locked in place, so to speak. So,
Yes, that is awesome that you brought that up, because when I do go outside and I do take a break and go out, I do have my earphones in, and just in case I get a phone call, I can still take my phone calls just because I'm not sitting at my desk. That's the other nice thing, If you were in your office, you wouldn't even be able to do. I mean, you were in a traditional office, you can't get up, walk around, and and talk to your clients or your colleagues at the same time. So yeah, that's a great point.
yeah. So I think, bottom line, it sounds like a bit of creativity. For folks, it might be a small expenditure for perhaps a light, or maybe the sticky wallpaper, which I really love that idea. Just really about getting a bit creative. And again, not all of us are creative types. Universe has made us all to be very, very different. Some of us, like Sandy, are incredibly creative people. Some of us are much more analytical, and that creative piece just doesn't quite make sense. So if you are creative, perhaps this is giving you some thoughts and ideas of what you can do to improve your working from home. And if you're not, then, give Sandy a call. It's free. It's 15 minutes. She'll have you fill out the form. It sounds like you might have to take a few photos or a video, whatever she ends up asking you to do. And, who knows? I mean, with us being stuck in our homes, maybe not 24/7, but at least 23/7. And I know some people are under martial law. Some people cannot leave at all. Some people don't have a backyard. Like, I'm blessed, I can have a backyard, so I can escape there. So even if I can't go for a walk on the street, I can go there. But I know people don't have that. So we all have different needs. And it's possible we didn't cover your stuff at all. And that's where Sandy really kind of comes in. And, it's that expertise. And, she's doing this because we're all stuck. And, Sandy and I have known each other for a couple of years now. And, one of the things that when we chatted once, I used to always say, like, I love where I live. I love my home. I'm perfectly happy to be in it around the clock. But I also tend to be a bit of a hermit. So that might have something to do with it, right? I'm going to put it out there. But I know people who hate where they live. And so, this case scenario, even if you are an introvert, but if you don't love the space that you're in, I mean, it's a prison sentence. It really feels that way. And, Sandy can help you make that from, a spot that you hate to potentially a spot that you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And, if it's not the whole house, make it a small corner. Who cares, right? So, Sandy, any last words that you have for our audience right now?
Well, Nev, thank you so much for that wrap up, because that's so true. We do want to walk through our front door and say, I love being here. I'm relaxed. I want to be here. And that's what I like to do. That's what I provide for my clients, and that's what I'd like to provide for you today. Anybody that wants to book one of the 15-minute chats, anything I can help you with that we can solve for you in a quick and easy way, I will do that. And really all I need is a photo texted to me at that point. We don't have to get too fancy, but yes, I'm trying to, my passion right now is to try to bring some some sort of relaxation to a stressful moment, right? We are all overly stressed. We are all worried about what's going on, and the last thing we need is extra stress because our homes, our spaces, our where we come home to is not a comfortable place to be.
Love it. Love it. I love the fact that you're bringing a bit of light into the potentially darkness for folks. So thank you for that. Before we wrap it up, where can folks find you, your social handles or whatever you want to share so that folks can connect with you?
Okay, thanks. All of my social media links are on my website, which is restyleinteriors.net. I'm sure you'll put that in the notes.
Yep.
And on my homepage, right at the top in the right-hand corner, is a book a chat with Sandy. You can click on that. And by the way, also, anybody that's interested in getting the 10 top tips for setting up a home office, that you can grab that too when you're on my website. It's right there on the homepage, and I would love to send you that. It's really goes into a little bit more depth than what we did today, but talking on the same exact subject: what to do when I'm trying to set up a home office. So those 10 tips can really be valuable as well.
Awesome. 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 So thank you, Sandy. It has been an absolute pleasure. It's very unfortunate, the situation that pretty much the entire world is in right now. But I love the fact that you're doing this remotely, virtually, so you truly can help people, not just in your area, but around the globe. So it doesn't matter what country you're in. You might have to kind of iron out the time zones of when to chat and do that stuff.
Right.
But with technology nowadays, maybe that was the light piece of this whole thing, is that we are starting to be even more connected and interconnected. And so, give Sandy a call. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything but like 10-15 minutes. And who knows, maybe one of those breaks that you're like, that's it, I've had it, I'm done, I'm calling Sandy because I need to fix my space. Because look, folks, they're telling us we're going to be doing this for at least another 4 to 6 weeks. And, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you hate the place that you're in, it might as well be 6 years. So, let's create it in. There's still plenty of time to do it. And who knows, I tend to believe that a lot of businesses will start doing this a bit more, even when we don't have to. So let's set it up right now so you can enjoy what you're doing, enjoy where you're living, and enjoy where you work. So Sandy, beyond blessed to have you on a call. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nev. I really enjoyed this. Thanks.